Why do we call square roots square roots? Here is the answer. If you had a square that was a 1 by 1, you would do one line over, one line up, and so forth. We've made a square. The sides are each 1. And if we wanted to find the area of that square, we know that we do length times width. So 1 times 1 would be 1. We all agree. Now let's do a square that has 2. A side of 2. A side of 2. One side length 2, one side length 2. The area, length times width, would be 2 times 2, which is 4. Let's keep going. Let's do side length with 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Still square, right? Side length 3. Side length 3. If we wanted to find the area of this square, length times width would be 9. Let's do one more. Let's do a 4. A side length of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Side length of 4. Side length of 4. The area, which we know, length times width, would be 4 times 4. So the area would be 16. So let's look at these squares. What does this have to do with a square root? Well, just like a tree has roots that help build the tree, so do these squares have roots that build the area of the square. Here's a root, here's a root, here's a root, here's a root. Okay? So, we have a square, we have roots. Again, how are we finding the square root? Well, let's take this number 16. That's our area. If we wrote it like this, and you saw on your paper, what's the square root of 16? Here's your answer, or here's your hint, that the root is your side length. So if we took that area and said the square root of, what is the square root of 16? We know that it's going to be the side length. What if we wanted to find the area, or the square root of 9? It's going to be the side length. What if we wanted to find the square root of 4? Going to be the side length. Square root of 1, which is the area. That root is the side length. Okay. So, if we kept going, we're going to keep finding these perfect squares. 1 has a perfect square. Isn't that a perfect square? 4 has a perfect square. Isn't that a perfect square? 9 has a perfect square. 16 has a perfect square. I bet if we did a side length of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What a pretty perfect square, right? We know the side lengths are 5. We know the area, which would be length times width, which would be 25, right? 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to go ahead and say that 25 is probably a perfect square. And the square root of that is the side length. It built that square. Keep going and see how many more perfect squares you can find. How many more perfect squares you can find that have square roots that are equal sides.